Alright, this is a discussion of and a comparison of the Benjamin Marauder to a rimfire 22 and a Trail Nitro. So this is the Marauder. It costs $550, and the tire pump to pump it up costs $200. And the scope is a $100 scope that I bought at a gun show, used scope. This is probably the most accurate gun, of course, is a rimfire 22. If you sight this gun in at 35 yards and you shoot something at 70 yards or 80 yards, all you have to do is just shoot 2 inches over their head. The bullet drop on this gun with using a 1500 feet per second ammo is only going to be 2 inches. The bullet drop with the Benjamin Marauder is going to be twice that. It's going to be 4 inches. And the bullet drop of the Trail Nitro, which is a 22 caliber version, you can see is going to be about 18 inches. So 18 inches is getting to be a lot to try to predict. You know, you're shooting 18 inches over the head of a prairie dog. That's tough to estimate. So you see, even the 22 shorts only drop about 6 inches. So for the Marauder to only have a bullet drop of 4 inches is a big advantage. Now, one of the other problems with the Trail Nitro is because that it is a break barrel, and you cock the gun like this and you slap the barrel up. Well, the barrel's not going to be in the exact same position every time. And so you'll find even at 35 yards that this gun shoots all over the place. It's very difficult to get one in the bullseye with this gun at 35 yards, and certainly at 70 yards, it's very lucky to hit a prairie dog at 70 yards. I did one time hit a prairie dog with this gun right in the head, dropped him, but 10 minutes later he got up and ran in his hole. He probably had a headache and needed a couple aspirin, but it's just not powerful enough to kill a prairie dog, at least not the way you'd notice it dropping. This gun, 25 cal, it's the bullet weight is twice what the 22 cal Nitro uses. And here's my comparison test. This is just a piece of pine, and the Trail Nitro didn't penetrate the board. It stopped about halfway through this board. The 22 long rifle went through this like it was cheese, and the 25 cal Marauder went through this and even made a bigger hole. So it's got enough power to kill a prairie dog, as you've seen. So now, what I've done is I've actually set the scope on the Benjamin Marauder to sight in at 80 yards. So you can see at 80 yards I'm aiming for the bullseye, and I'm hitting the bullseye right here. And this is like a 1/4 inch apart, and this is maybe a 1/2 inch apart. So this is a really good grouping. And then I brought this target in at 35 yards, and of course, because I had sighted in at 80 yards, at 35 yards, there's about a 4 inch, I'm shooting high about 4 inches. So I never get a shot at a prairie dog at 35 yards anyway. I might get one at 50 or 60 yards, so I've just got to acknowledge that if I've got a shot at 50 or 60 yards, I've got to aim about 2 inches below what I want to hit. But at 80 yards, I just am going to sight it on the prairie dog, and good night. So another thing to consider is the weights. The Benjamin Trail Nitro weighs about 11 pounds. That's very heavy to try to carry around with you in the woods. The rimfire 22 is the lightest. It weighs about 6.5 pounds, and the Marauder is probably about 7.5 to 8 pounds. So now a little discussion of the pump. This is one step up from the Benjamin pump. Benjamin pump, people complain that the gauge isn't very good and that the hose is short. So this is the Air Venturi G6, which costs $200. It's just $20 more than the Benjamin pump. The when you take the gun out of the box, you have to pump it about 300 times to get it up to 2,800 pounds because it's empty. But once you have it there, you generally you start shooting 8-round clip at 2,800 or 2,900 pounds, and after 8 shots, it'll be down about 2,400 pounds, and you pump it up again. You only have to pump it about 40 times to get it back up to 2,900 pounds, and the first 8 pumps are real light because all you're doing is compressing the hose, and then it gets a little harder. I'm at 8,000 feet, so the air is pretty thin here. Now, somebody who's at sea level probably won't have to pump it 40 times to get it back up to 2,900 pounds, but it might be a little harder to pump. I don't know. You know, I don't consider this to be very hard to pump. It's about like if you're trying to pump up a car tire and you pump up, 40 times. You know, that's about what this feels like. So I would buy the Air Venturi. It's a little better pump, and it comes pretty much all assembled. All you have to do is put the gauge on and the hose on, and so it comes with a little kit, a replacement parts kit. All you need is one of the small O-rings and one of the super small O-rings, and all those springs and everything else in the kit just leave in the little plastic bag. You don't use it until this pump is old and you need to replace some of the parts. And then good luck, because I haven't found any website that has a detailed plan of how this pump is assembled. When you take it apart, you better be taking pictures of it so that you know how to get it back together again. Another little tip is it's simple to take a camera tripod, put a little block on top of it, and use this as your shooting platform. It really helps you gain a little bit of accuracy. But the only other possibility, the only other way to go is Benjamin makes a gun called the Discovery. The Discovery is cheaper. It's $370 including the pump at Amazon. But people complain that it's a little bit loud for a pellet gun, and the trigger pull is not very good. The Benjamin Marauder has a great trigger pull. It's the best trigger pull of all 3 of these guns, hands down, which improves your accuracy. So they say the Benjamin is a little bit loud. Well, you can get a suppressor for the Benjamin that's made for that Discovery, and it only costs $50 from TKO Air Guns, and it just goes on with an Allen wrench, so you don't have to get the end of the barrel threaded. But you still have the problem of the 22 pellet being light. It only weighs 14 grains, and you're not going to be able to kill anything at 80 yards, and it's going to have a considerable drop in your accuracy is going to suffer because the way that little pellet slows down from air resistance and then drops on you. Anyway, that's all I can think of. Remember, there's some people who will put down us hunters. We're killing animals, but just to address that just briefly, the earth is having problems not because of hunters, but because people are just breeding prolifically all over the world. Got 8 billion people on the planet, and there's hardly any room for these animals anymore. You don't realize that in the U.S. they have a lot of open space, but in Europe there's no open space for animals anymore. So don't let them put you down for being a hunter. The real problem is that people are continuing to have 6 kids when it's pointless to expand the population so much. I mean, we're on the verge probably of a mass extinction because there's just too many people. We're poisoning the oceans. The oceans make 65% of the Earth's oxygen, and we're seeing whales and dolphins wash up on the beaches all over the world now. So the oceans are suffering, and we might only have 40 years left before there's no oxygen left to breathe. So live it up while you can, and tell the people that criticize you that it's not the hunters, it's the breeders. That's what's killing the planet. Okay, so good luck. have fun hunting and stay safe.